The Grim Reaper is an iconic representation of death, but have you ever wondered where this skeletal figure, draped in dark robes and wielding a scythe, originated from? Why is this the prevailing image associated with death? To understand the origins of the Grim Reaper and the various death deities from around the world, let's delve into their historical backgrounds. In many depictions, the Grim Reaper is portrayed as a male figure. However, it was common in numerous cultures for death to be personified as a woman. Spanish, Italian, and French-speaking countries often depict female reapers in their literature and art. These representations vary widely, ranging from beautiful to grotesque, and from young to old. During the Middle Ages in England and Germany, death was personified as an animated skeleton carrying a scythe, gathering the souls of the dying and the deceased. In Poland, death also takes the form of a skeletal figure, but as an elderly woman dressed in white robes, contrasting the black robes we associate with the Grim Reaper. The term Grim Reaper first appeared in English in 1847, derived from a German version translated by August, known as the Tunes of Christian Devotion. While we recognize the Grim Reaper as one of death's personifications, how did this image become so universally recognizable? The answer lies in the 14th century, when the devastating plague swept through Europe, claiming the lives of 1/3 of the continent's population and 1/10 of the global population. Amidst the rampant death and the limited medical knowledge of the time, people sought a symbol that could explain or provide solace for the unfathomable loss. Thus, the image of the Grim Reaper was chosen. Let's explore the symbolism behind the Grim Reaper's appearance. The skeleton represents death itself, symbolizing the natural cycle of life, decay, and the enduring remnants of what once lived. The dark robes mirror the attire of religious figures who conduct funeral services, signifying the funeral process. Why does the Grim Reaper carry a scythe among all the available weapons and tools? The scythe is an agricultural tool used for cutting down grass or grain. The term reap refers to the harvesting or cutting of crops, usually done in the fall, symbolizing the end or death of another year. The Grim Reaper, as a harvester of souls, wields the scythe to guide them from their earthly existence to the afterlife. Contrary to misconceptions, the creation of the Grim Reaper did not stem from malevolence or evil intent. Rather, it served as a symbol and a source of comfort during a time when death was rampant and explanations were scarce. Death is a natural process that has been personified by various cultures throughout history. To truly grasp the significance of the Grim Reaper and the personification of death, it is essential to examine earlier depictions. In Greek mythology, Thanatos, the personification of gentle and natural death, shares similarities with the Grim Reaper. Often mentioned briefly rather than elaborated upon, Thanatos is portrayed as a winged figure donning dark robes and carrying a scythe or sickle, potentially influencing the appearance of the Grim Reaper. Hades, the king of the underworld, is a well-known figure associated with death. Hermes, though not primarily considered a death deity, played multiple roles related to the underworld, serving as a messenger between the realms of the living and the dead and guiding souls to the afterlife. Persephone, married to Hades, became a deity linked to the underworld and death. Previously associated with spring and nature, her annual return from the underworld during the spring symbolized immortality. As she transitioned into the role of the queen of the underworld, people refrained from uttering her name, fearing it would bring ill fortune. Hecate, revered as a patron goddess in various realms, held dominion over numerous aspects, including boundaries and crossroads. This association with thresholds and intersections led to the belief that she possessed the power to unlock the gates separating different realms, akin to Hermes. Thus, she assumed the role of facilitating the passage of departed souls between these distinct domains. As a token of appreciation for her loyalty to the Olympians during the Titanomachy, Zeus bestowed upon Hecate a precious gift, the lampades. These torch-bearing nymphs accompanied Hecate in her journeys to and from the two realms, ensuring that the path was well illuminated and free from obstructions. Noteworthy figures related to the realm of death also include Charon, the ferryman responsible for transporting souls to the realm of the deceased, Cerberus, the formidable guardian of the gates of the underworld, and the Cares, representing spirits associated with violent deaths, as well as the Arenas, embodying spirits of vengeance. In Norse mythology, Hel, the daughter of Loki, reigned over specific portions of the underworld, commonly referred to as Hel or Helheim. Depicted with a countenance divided into two halves, one side white or black, the other featuring exposed bones and decaying flesh, Hel symbolized the dichotomy between life and death. Turning to the Norse realm, the Valkyries, female winged entities, played a pivotal role in guiding fallen warriors to the realm of the afterlife. However, they did not lead them to Hel's domain, but rather to Valhalla or Falconvener. The Valkyries were sometimes depicted with wings and horses, while other times they wielded horns filled with mead, enticing fallen soldiers to follow their lead. The prospect of an enigmatic winged woman assuring them of an afterlife, coupled with the allure of alcohol, served to seal the deal. Odin, the All-Father, oversaw the inhabitants of Valhalla, selecting half of the fallen warriors for this realm and ensuring their preparedness for Ragnarok, the impending battle. In Norse mythology, death involved categorizing the departed, with different deities and spirits assuming responsibility for each group. Odin claimed half of the fallen warriors, while Freya guided the other half to Falconvener, a realm comparable in function to Valhalla and ruled by Freya, a multifaceted goddess associated with fertility, love, beauty, gold, and war. Those who met their demise at sea were collected by Ran, the goddess personifying the sea, aided by her 9 daughters who represented the waves. However, some sources suggest that Ran's actions were not necessarily benevolent, as the Old Norse term farin implied theft and robbery. Consequently, she was believed to drown individuals at sea and capture their souls using her net from the depths of the ocean. Shifting our focus to Norway, we encounter Pester, the embodiment of the Black Death in Norwegian folklore. Clad in a black hood and a dark red skirt, this elderly woman wielded a rake, leaving a trail of pestilence in her wake. According to the tales, she traversed the countryside, moving from one village to another, spreading disease. Spotting Pester in a village carrying her rake was seen as an omen that some inhabitants might survive the plague, while her sweeping with a broom signified doom for the entire community. Pester's mode of transportation, often depicted as a boat, symbolized the way the plague was disseminated, with rats infesting ships and contributing to the outbreak. In terms of purpose and historical context, Pester bears the closest resemblance to the Grim Reaper. Celtic and Irish mythology also featured a multitude of deities and spirits associated with death. Among the most well-known figures is the Morrigan, primarily connected to war and fate. Her role encompassed predicting the outcomes of battles, whether they would end in victory or impending doom and death. In her battle form, the Morrigan would sometimes manifest as a crow, and prior to engagements, she would be seen washing bloodstained garments. Encountering the Morrigan was seen as a harbinger of an inevitable fate, death. Some believe that the Morrigan's influence gave rise to the Banshee in later folklore. She also shared connections with the Austrian winter spirit Perktur and Morgan Le Fay, a significant character in Arthurian legends, described as the wife of the Dagda, a prominent deity in Irish and Celtic mythologies. The Morrigan herself played a significant role and was occasionally depicted as a triple goddess, appearing as 3 sisters, although such depictions were not widespread. Ankou, a figure prominent in various regions of Britain but most notably in Ireland and Wales, appeared in diverse forms, ranging from a mere shadow to a grim reaper-like entity. Clad in black robes and a large hat concealing most of his face, Ankou brandished a scythe and rode in a grand carriage pulled by black horses, accompanied by spectral companions. His primary duty involved collecting the souls of the departed, with the hope that one day he would repay his debt and gain entry into the afterlife. The tales surrounding Ankou varied significantly. In one account, he was described as a prince who encountered death while hunting and challenged him to a race to kill a stag. Death emerged victorious, and as punishment for the prince's cruelty and despotic rule, he cursed him to wander the earth as a ghoul for eternity. Another narrative depicted Enku as a servant of death, entrusted with the guardianship of graveyards, guiding lost spirits along their journey. In this version, Enku became more of a title or duty, rather than an individual entity. Each parish had its own designated Enku, a figure who assumed the role of death for the entire year. The position of Enku was passed on to the last person to die in that year, although some variations suggest it was the first person to die instead. One peculiar origin story portrays Enku as the son of the sea, the first child of Adam and Eve, who became the king of the otherworld within Irish mythology's Tuatha Dé Danann. Manon, the guardian of the otherworld, presided over this supernatural realm, which was accessible to both gods and the deceased. The otherworld remained veiled in mist and hidden from human sight. Manon, equipped with a self-navigating boat, distributed plots of land in the otherworld among the remaining members of the Tuatha Dé Danann. Moving to the Americas, we encounter the representation of death in Mexican folklore through Santa Muerte, also known as Our Lady of Holy Death. Over the past century, Santa Muerte has gained prominence, attracting a rapidly growing cult and religious movement. She is depicted as a female skeletal figure dressed in a colorful, flowing robe and wielding a scythe. Unlike the Grim Reaper, Santa Muerte exudes a celebratory aura, which may account for her popularity. In Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, and Paraguay, another embodiment of death emerges in the form of San La Muerte, or Saint Death. Unlike Santa Muerte, San La Muerte is depicted as a male skeletal figure carrying a scythe. Both figures have faced opposition from the Catholic Church, which considers them pagan spirits incompatible with Christian beliefs. Nonetheless, San La Muerte is revered as a saint by Catholics in South American countries, while Our Lady of Death in Mexico has evolved into a distinct cult and religion with an estimated 10 to 20 million devoted followers. Certain regions of Mexico and Guatemala share legends of San Pascualito, the king of the graveyard. Unsurprisingly, this regal figure is portrayed as a skeleton adorned in robes and a crown. Baron Samedi, a prominent spirit in Haitian voodoo, embodies death and fertility. In Haitian voodoo, spirits are referred to as Loa and are organized into families. The Gid family encompasses the powers of death and fertility, with Baron Samedi serving as its head. Known by various names such as Baron Lacroix and Baron Cimetière, the cross in the cemetery, Baron Samedi boasts a distinctive appearance. Sometimes depicted as a skeleton with a skull-like painted face, he adorns a top hat, a black tailcoat, and carries a fancy cane, exuding a debonair image. This attire symbolizes the preparation and dressing of a body for a traditional Haitian burial, blending mourning and celebration. Baron Samedi's jovial personality matches his rowdy behavior, as he never misses an opportunity to revel in a party atmosphere, accompanied by his trademark glass of rum and cigar. His indulgence extends to a fondness for mortal women and drug use, completing his reputation as a figure of debauchery. However, despite his wild nature, Baron Samedi fulfills his responsibilities, welcoming the souls of the deceased and leading them to the underworld. When someone passes away, Baron Samedi personally digs their grave and offers them a warm reception. Refusing to dig a grave signifies that person cannot die. Even those afflicted by powerful curses or those suffering from grave injuries may cheat death if Baron Samedi favors them. He possesses the ability to heal mortals of wounds and diseases, demonstrating his capacity to both take and restore life. Baron Samedi is married to Mama Bridget, an equally flamboyant and eccentric figure. Like her husband, she enjoys rum but prefers hers infused with chili peppers. Mama Bridget serves as the protector of tombs, gravestones, cemeteries, and any space occupied by the dead. Throughout the years, she has become associated with the Irish deity Bridget and is occasionally depicted as a pale woman with red hair. As Haitian voodoo combines elements of African Vodun and European influences, Mama Bridget is also linked to several saints, including Bridget of Kildare, Mary Magdalene, and Saint Bridget. Consequently, there are contrasting depictions of Mama Bridget, a boisterous, crude, and flamboyant character often portrayed in a sexualized manner, juxtaposed with her representation as a saint. The truth likely lies somewhere in between, considering her behavior alongside her commitment to her duties. The Baron and Mama Bridget adopted a son named Guednibwa, a handsome young man who met a violent and tragic end. In joining their family, Guednibwa became the patron saint for those who died prematurely. He shares many traits and behaviors with his adoptive parents, but is easily recognizable by the bottle of white rum infused with medicinal herbs that he carries. Guednibwa is renowned as a great healer and serves as a voice for spirits awaiting passage to the afterlife or the lower world in Haitian voodoo. In the realm of Japanese mythology, there exists a divine pair known as Izanagi and Izanami. These sibling deities are not only associated with creation but also hold a connection to death. According to ancient tales, the first gods assigned Izanagi and Izanami the momentous task of fashioning the very first landmass. However, their association with death is born from a tragic event. Izanami, the female deity, met her demise, prompting Izanagi to embark on a perilous journey to Yomi, the underworld, in search of his beloved wife. Upon locating Izanami in the shadowy realm, Izanagi pleaded for her return, but his request was futile. Izanami had consumed the food of the underworld, sealing her fate among the deceased. Determined to bid farewell, Izanagi waited until his wife fell into slumber and, using his comb as a torch, caught a glimpse of her. What he witnessed horrified him to the core. Once beautiful Izanami was now infested with maggots, her body decayed and ravaged. Filled with terror, Izanagi fled for his life, abandoning his no longer attractive spouse and sealing the entrance to the underworld with an immense boulder. In her pursuit, Izanami dispatched spirits of the dead to find her fleeing husband. Nevertheless, with the entrance sealed, the land of the living became separated from the land of the dead, forever dividing Izanagi, representing life, from Izanami, symbolizing death. The former goddess of creation unleashed a haunting cry, threatening to claim the lives of 1,000 living souls daily if Izanagi refused to return to her. In response, Izanagi proclaimed that he would grant life to 1,500 souls every day. Moving on to Southeast Asian mythologies, we encounter Enma, a significant figure who reigns over hell. This deity appears in various mythological traditions across the region, with his name altering based on the specific form of Buddhism being discussed. In Japanese Buddhism, he is referred to as Enma. Enma holds dominion over the rulers of hell and determines whether one's sins warrant eternal punishment. Further exploration of this deity will lead us to China. Shinigami, or death gods in English, are familiar spirits to some. These entities beckon and allure humans, drawing them closer to their demise. Izanami, at times, has been categorized as a class of Shinigami. Stories from the Edo period recount the existence of these death deities and their ability to possess human beings. Some of these spirits are described as malevolent, while others claim that Shinigami choose individuals based on their inner intentions, actions, and emotions. The possession by these spirits merely removes the barriers that prevent people from acting upon their dark desires, whether it be suicide, murder, or other heinous crimes. The presence of Shinigami provides a reason or justification for such acts, perhaps even serving as an excuse. Considering the vastness of Chinese mythology, covering all of its deities would be an insurmountable task. However, we can focus on Yama, the Chinese counterpart to Enma, also known as King Yin. This ruler presides over the realm of the dead within Chinese mythology, overseeing 10 different kings who govern what is commonly referred to as the 8 or 10 courts of hell. King Yin, with his wrathful visage, stands above all others, guarding the underworld. Souls passing through these courts face judgment based on their actions in life, and their fate is determined by Yin. Once their destiny is decided, they proceed through hell, where they encounter appropriate punishments for their transgressions. Another intriguing duo in Chinese mythology is Oxhead and Horseface. As their names suggest, one possesses the head of an ox while the other bears the face of a horse. These formidable figures greet individuals as they enter the underworld, serving multiple roles. They prevent souls from escaping, escort newly arrived spirits, stand before the courts of hell, and act as messengers to the kings of hell. Their significance is highlighted in various tales, including the well-known epic Journey to the West. Lastly, let us delve into the legend of Mengpe, the goddess of forgetfulness in Chinese mythology. Mengpe resides in the courts of hell, where souls await reincarnation. As souls cross the bridge of forgetfulness, Mengpe offers them a tea imbued with 5 flavors, inducing a state of forgetfulness that erases all memories. This ritual allows for a fresh start in the cycle of reincarnation, absolving the soul of past sins and burdens. Mengpe's tale is one of sorrow and longing. Unable to let go of her own pain after her husband's death, she became trapped in the afterlife. To alleviate the suffering of other spirits, she embraced her role as the purveyor of forgetfulness, enabling them to embark on new journeys unburdened. Stories speak of individuals who refuse to partake in the tea, only to have memories flood back once they begin their new lives. Consequently, newborn children may display remarkable abilities as they retain memories from their past existence. In Egyptian mythology, death is also accompanied by a pantheon of deities and spirits. Anubis, a prominent figure, assumes a crucial role throughout the journey into the afterlife. He guides souls, safeguards graves and cemeteries, and oversees the mummification and embalming process. As souls approach the threshold of the afterlife, Anubis accompanies them, presiding over the weighing of their hearts against a feather. This judgment determines their worthiness to enter the underworld. Ammit, known as the devourer of the dead, participates in this process as well. Comprising the fearsome traits of a crocodile, a lion, and a hippopotamus, Ammit consumes the hearts of those deemed unworthy, condemning them to an eternity of unrest and torment. Osiris, initially revered as a god of agriculture and fertility, later becomes associated with death, resurrection, and the afterlife. After a bitter conflict with his brother Set, Osiris is slain and dismembered, with his body parts scattered across Egypt. Ultimately, his remains are located and reunited, granting him a second chance. Resurrected as the judge and king of the underworld, Osiris exemplifies that the majority of death-associated deities or spirits are not inherently evil. Death, a universal fear, prompts each culture to construct its own narratives to comprehend and cope with the inevitability of mortality.